Thank you, members. Welcome to the extraordinary council meeting on today, the 23rd of May 2024. On item 1, I will first ask if there are any apologies for absence. There are none. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest to be made by members? Councillor Headley.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I was premature in giving my declaration earlier in the evening, but all of the county councillors are represented here were at a meeting earlier this month where a very similar motion was passed, and our record of the debate and our vote was recorded at that meeting.
Okay, and I also take on, thank you, Councillor Headley, I also take on block any representations from Essex County councillors and the fact that they serve on both councils. Councillor Baggott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know if it's a declaration of interest or not, but it's always best to be safe in these things. I attended the Essex Chief Executives and Leaders meeting where we agreed to write an objection to this proposal some months ago, and attended another one of those meetings where, following the elections last year, we re-clarified with the new leadership of the that were there that they were still going to oppose and be objecting to this proposal.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you. I'll now move on to item number 3, announcements. Do we have any announcements from the Deputy Mayor, the Leader of the Council, Cabinet members or the Chief Executive? Councillor McGarren and Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you very much. It would be remiss of me not to offer my congratulations to you both. Councillor Davis, how did it take so long? That's all I'm saying. And congratulations, Councillor Joseph, you did it rather quicker, so well done. Yeah, I didn't actually ever think I'd be back here in this position. Life throws up some strange, unexpected circumstances. I'm sure you're all delighted to see me, though. So, thanks, Phil. Thank you. In my new role as Cabinet Member for Environment and Leisure, I think I actually prefer the title that Gavin gave me, which was King of the Bins. But I've got another one, the Rubbish Revolutionary. Think about that, it works on a number of levels, so it's good that. But actually, I'm not going to be talking about the bins tonight, because you've probably heard enough of it. And also, Gavin's basically made his announcement through the Echo the other day anyway, so I don't need to do anything, he's well ahead of me. So what I am going to talk about, though, has been referred to already, the planning application that's back at Essex County Council tomorrow, for the Archersfield incinerator. I have to say I'm not filled with confidence, because what the chairman of the Development and Regulation Committee has already done is say that no public speakers will be allowed. Yeah, exactly. But no surprise at Essex County Council. You know, I compared them to the commitment to democracy and transparency being like that of communist China. I was wrong. The worse. But anyway, to be fair, at the last meeting a few months ago, she could have got a laugh out, come on.
Only because you said China.
At the Development Regulation meeting a few months ago, when the decision was deferred on Archersfield conveniently until after the local elections, I attended and spoke, as did quite a few Basildon Conservative councillors, to be fair. I don't know if they intend going tomorrow, but if you do, you won't be allowed to speak. You'll be gagged like the rest of us. But I also have to say, and I think if the Basildon councillors have been honest, I fear the worst on this one. The composition of the committee is what it is, full of Conservatives from elsewhere in Essex. And we had a site visit recently, which was interesting. And to be fair, former councillor, Basildon councillor Jeff Henry, and still county councillor Jeff Henry and myself both took part in it. And we, together, insisted that the tour actually showed just how close the residential properties were to it. The people in charge of the tour didn't seem to want to do that, but they were happy to show us what the view of the chimney stacks would look like from Crays Hill. Quite why they would wanted us to do that, I don't know. But anyway, they saw close up just how close the residential properties are. And let's not forget, we talk about the properties in Pitsea that are very close. The properties in Freehands are very close as well. They also suffer the effects of being so potentially so close to an incinerator. It does feel like history repeated itself. We had a disaster with an incinerator previously in Pitsea, and again, Basildon councillors, Conservative councillors, opposed it, but the social superiors in North Essex passed it anyway. I hope that will not be the case tomorrow. If it is, we as a council will be looking at what we can do legally, if anything, to stop the plans becoming a reality. Even the government, the Conservative government, has made it clear that it's not happy about incinerators. So why the Development Regulation Committee should plough ahead with this unwanted, unnecessary plan, I do not know. But as I say, we will see what tomorrow brings. Unfortunately, I will not be able to speak, as I have done tonight, but we will be watching with interest in the future, if it is passed, to see what we can do about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Callaghan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take the opportunity to advise members and through them members of the public about the changes to this building and the IT system that we touched on in the last meeting and that have changed in recent times. Councillors are currently only given access to the car park, this chamber and their group rooms. Councillors are held in a weird holding pen outside of group rooms, unable to access officers or to walk around the building. We're unable to have confidential meetings in various parts of the building, and we're only given access to group rooms where there can be several members at any one time, particularly when it has 18 Labour members as well. This isn't a reform that I fully understand, if I have to be honest with you. It feels very much like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. Whilst I do appreciate officers have to be able to get on with their jobs, it is also vital for councillors to be visible and accessible to officers so that strong working relationships can be built and residents and businesses casework can be dealt with at pace. It is also vital for officers to hear from members about issues in their ward and the context of how some of their policies are landing with the public. You do not need me to tell you that the difference between the communication team's rhetoric on the bins and the public's reality on the bins. This move risks alienating officers and creating even more of an ivory tower. And let me just say, councillors are not nuisances. We are an integral part of how this council works. And it is crucial that every single one of the 42 members of this council is treated fairly and that when they are trying to represent their constituents. Now, Councillor Turner raised a legitimate concern regarding the new IT system in a characteristic email from him. Now, alongside Councillor Yacoob, I will be reviewing the arrangements that were made by the previous administration and that decision into the new IT system. And for the benefit of the watching public, I just want to make clear the council has decided not to allow elected members to access our emails via our mobile phones. We're not allowed to raise public issues that have been sent to us on Gmail or Hotmail accounts, many of which are known to the public and they appear on our leaflets and on websites and things. We can only contact this council via our members' email. And while I understand the intent behind that, the lack of flexibility in this policy is completely impractical. It means that in order for a member to respond to a resident email or an officer query, an elected councillor on this council is required to carry their council laptop with them to their places of work or when they're travelling if they are to respond during the day. Now, technology must aid members to provide responses to our residents much quicker. It seems Basildon Council is the only council in the country to introduce technology to make our lives harder and slow down our work. I worked in the Houses of Parliament for 5 years and I was allowed my emails on my personal mobile phone. So unless the previous leader has brought MI5 in and I don't know about it. I suspect we're probably all singing on the same hymn sheet here. Members must be allowed to access their emails on their mobile phones. Additionally, the new IT system is preventing councillors from accessing the officer directory. So at present, no elected member is allowed to know which officer works in this organisation and in what department. Now again, that is completely unacceptable and it is not conducive to mutual trust and strong working relationships. Councillors cannot take up casework and build strong relationships with officers if they don't know who they are or what they do. So I do plan to review this as quickly as possible so that all members of the council can get the access that they need to be able to do the job to the best of their ability, and I will keep the council informed of that. And finally, Mr. Mayor, yesterday in the pouring rain into the backdrop of D-Ream, Rishi Sunak asked the country to put him out of his misery, and we intend to do that in a general election on the 4th of July. And it means that from next Friday, the 31st of May, the council will enter into a purdah period. As a result, the only business of the council will be to undertake normal functions and no new policies or initiatives can be taken forward at this time. That will impact on our ability to make the changes to the bins as quickly as we would like, because we now can't sit in June. I am concerned that this council has not sat in April, May and June. That is a quarter of the year where there is no business that is being done on this council. So I am open to the potential for us to be doing meetings in the month of August, but I am aware that there are obviously we have to be mindful of school holidays and commitments that people have around family, etc. So I'd ask chairs of committees to consider that when they are working with their clerks in the coming days. The June full council meeting will go ahead as planned, so members should not expect the 20th of June meeting to be cancelled. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I said earlier on, it is a privilege to be able to stand before you as the Cabinet Member for Community, Sport and Culture. And I know and I hope all members are looking forward to the summer of sport that we had ahead of us, getting behind our England national team in the Euros and supporting the team, and Wales, and not Wales. I do know that. And supporting Team GB in the Olympics and Paralympics later this summer. But Mr. Mayor, I also want to be able to give an update on the area committees that we referred to earlier on. And tonight I'm proud to announce the establishment of the area committees that are going to take place across this borough, giving every member of every ward the opportunity to be able to support their residents. And I thank Councillor Harrison and the Wickford Independent Group for their proactiveness in bringing this proposal to us, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it come to fruition. Over the last few months, we've heard time and time again from residents across the borough for the lack of connection that residents and community groups feel they have with this council. We've seen too often members not being able to support the community groups that they want to be able to support due to not being part of the administration and not having a portfolio. And in my cabinet portfolio, the first act that I will be undertaking is to be able to strengthen the role of every single member in this chamber so that everyone here can undertake decisions that affect our residents and support our communities to make a difference to their lives. The 6 area committees that will be established will be a formal decision-making body with terms and reference and have financial support to be able to make that happen. They will consist of councillors only from the wards that they represent and have funds, as I say, in place to actually carry out decisions that councillors want to be able to carry out. The purpose of the fund is to allow residents groups, organisations and charities located within each of the areas the opportunity to be able to apply for funding, to provide grants for activities, events and street parties to be able to make them happen. I've always believed that all members of this chamber can contribute positively to the work that this council undertakes. The area committees are an important development of this across the chamber, and it demonstrates to our residents that people and communities are at the heart of this administration, and I look forward to working with all members and with our residents and community groups to take this forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. There being no further announcements. Oh, Councillor Smith.
Mr. Mayor, I may have lost a few pounds, but not that much weight. You have to be able to see me. Just a couple of announcements. Back in the role of housing, I shan't be mean to my predecessor because he doesn't get right to reply on this section, but I will meet him with officers. As I said earlier, it was easier taking over from Councillor Turner than what I anticipate to be taking over, but our tenants deserve the very best. We need to get house building back underway to cut our housing waiting list. and deal with this crisis in housing homeless people. When I left the chairmanship of housing, we were spending around £300,000 a year to house homeless people. It's now nearly 3 million out of the general fund, and that's only going to get worse. To be fair to my predecessor, it's not his fault. Liz Truss decided to play kamikaze with the stock markets. So, thank you, Leader. Which I understand my predecessor did support Liz Truss being the leader. And we saw the damage it caused, the crisis it caused in the money markets, and private landlords having to say to tenants, I'm sorry, I can't house you anymore. The money I get from your rent does not pay the mortgage. And those poor souls come to us to look for help. So I have to take care of that situation, because when we talk about money across the borough being spent and services we provide, if I can tackle this problem and help to cut this down to a respectable level, then we can talk about things like all-night lighting, definitely ending No Mo May, and other such things, because if you don't have money, you can't do nothing with it. So I will be at June's full council giving more details, but as we've had prisoner cell block H, if you're a borough councillor, we are unable to speak to officers unless you phone up the Mystic Meg hotline, if it still exists. I will be working on that to get to that situation update for members at next full council. My second announcement, which is rather shorter, I will not be running in the general election. I've had a few people inquire, and I have to keep my street cred, because you may see my name pop up, a few percent Kerry Smith Independent, and then later on that same show, Jeremy Corbyn Independent. I have to keep my street cred, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Adele Brown.
Sorry, no, I've forgotten my glasses, so I need a little bit of help with it being broadened out a little bit larger than what I would normally have it. Tonight I'm honoured to take on the responsibility from Councillor Moore of the local plan. This evening I want to stand before you with a clear message. It is time to get this done. The inaction that we have had by this council needs to be over. Under this Labour administration, we will deliver a local plan. It's important to remember our local plan is not just a bureaucratic document, it's a blueprint for our borough's future. It determines where we live, where we work and where we play. It ensures that we can meet the needs of our growing population, support our local economy and protect our environment. Without it, we are vulnerable to unplanned, speculative developments that do not align with our community's values or needs. This council, as we all know, received a letter from our Secretary of State for Levelling Up Housing and Communities, Michael Gove, highlighting this borough's prolonged lack of progress, and it risked government intervention. But let's be clear, it was you, the previous Conservative administration, that made the decision to withdraw that local plan, leaving us vulnerable. They decided those actions. They received a letter from Michael Gove, and as a result, it is time to stop the inaction. Under this Labour administration, with the support of a future Labour government, we are committed to getting the right local plan done. I will not shy away from our responsibilities. Instead, I will work collaboratively with our officers and engage with our local communities. I will actively involve our residents, businesses and other stakeholders in that plan-making process. Your voices are crucial to shaping the plan that is inclusive and reflective of our collective aspirations. This Labour administration is committed to ensure Basildon has a local plan that safeguards our future, promotes sustainable growth and enhances the quality of life for all our residents. With the announcement of a July general election, we may have dodged Gove's bullet, but I want to assure members the general election will not slow down this administration in ensuring that we have that plan. As we celebrate the 75th anniversary of Basildon, let's honour our roots and build a brighter, more sustainable future for our borough. The time for delays and excuses are over. Tonight, I call on all 42 councillors to work together to achieve this important goal. Together, we will uphold the Labour legacy and create a thriving, forward-looking Basildon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. There being no more announcements, I'll move on to item number 4, the notice of motion to be moved by Councillor Kerry Smith. This motion has been received and signed by 6 members: Councillor Mr Walter Brown, Councillor Green, Councillor Larkin, Councillor Murphy, Councillor Robbins and Councillor Smith. Councillor Smith, do you have a seconder?
I do, Mr Mayor. Councillor Brown.
Thank you. Would you like to begin your speech? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm glad I'm taking the place following after Councillor Adele Brown, because this issue of pylons, we need to make our representation. Let's remember, we were talking about reminiscing tonight about things happened under previous administrations. When Councillor Callaghan was previously the leader, the government and the then minister, I think personally, she wanted to get her own revenge because we were a Brexit borough, tried to impose a congestion charge onto this borough, and it delayed the implementation of the local plan. Now, I fear this pylon situation may again give a future government, minister, bureaucrat, any other Wally in Whitehall, grounds for delaying Basildon's local plan again. Because when you look at the proposed route of these pylons, they will have a detrimental view on the values. Who's going to buy a nice new home looking at rows and rows of pylons? They're not. So it's very important we object to this. Yes, we heard earlier at the start of this EGM comments from Councillor Headley and Councillor Baggett. It's very nice Essex County Council saying a few words, but they're not saying it for Basildon. They never would. If the government wants to build the world's biggest nuclear reactor in Basildon, they might cough and splatter for our assistance, but they wouldn't raise a finger. But this borough has a voice, and a leader with a voice, and a leader who will make representations and will have no fear or favour to whoever government minister holds that role, be it his party or Conservative. And that's what we need, because these pylons, even though they don't physically enter the borough, they will be an eyesore. Now, there's other ways to transport the electricity. It could be cabling through land. That eats up a lot of land. Or preferably transfer the cables under the sea. My personal view, and it is my personal view, that when former President Donald Trump was asked about how he'd deal with the war in Russia, his view is to pump, bankrupt Russia so they can't afford the tanks, guns and ammunition. Well, if that happens, where's the money in putting in wind turbines? They're not reliable, and it might kill the scheme off. That's always a little hope I hold on to on this issue. But these wind turbines, I just think, is the worst way of generating green electricity, because wind is not reliable. You can't work from it. Solar, tidal, yes. Wind power, no. And let's face it, you watch the weather, how often do they get it wrong? Unless it's a bank holiday weekend. Or you've bought a load of nice meat for a barbecue. You know it's going to rain, so wind power, forget it. But my issue with this is, we are a new administration representing this council and the residents who live here, the people from Langdon Hills, Dunton, Langdon, Bursted, Billericay, do not want to look at these rows and rows of ugly pylons. And as I said at County Hall, when I grew up as a kid, it was a sort of treat going down to Dagenham Market. And it was by the docks. And when anyone says the word pylons, that's what I think of. Dagenham Market. It was not very pretty. Not very pretty at all. Do we want the west coast, the western half of Essex, the western side of our borough, to look like Dagenham Market with pylons everywhere? No. That is why I tabled this EGM, and I thank the outgoing Deputy Mayor for accepting my EGM. I think it was my first one, so I managed to get some result. But I'm still grateful to her. And it is very important this council sends a clear and strong message. We don't need county to fight our battles, because hopefully next year we can fight our own and watch them issue a Section 114 notice because they ain't got the Basildon taxpayer to ponce off. I shall leave it there, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Adele Brown. Seconded. Oh, Walter, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The correct Councillor Brown. Thank you. I'm honoured to second this motion. I think that councillors in Basildon representing the constituents who are close to the constituents should be making this decision. And I'm in agreement with Councillor Smith that we need to make our position clear, because the people who are going to be deciding this in County Hall don't have a direct line of democracy or democratic accountability to the people of Basildon who will be affected. And for that reason, I think that a clear message from us as representatives of the people who will be affected by it is needed. And this gives us the forum, and thank you to Kerry for raising this, gives us a forum to make that strong point to County Hall.
Thank you, Councillor Walter Brown. Thank you. I now open this for debate. Councillor Harrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, there must always be a balance between a strong national infrastructure and what is in the best interest of local communities, and this motion delivers on both. National electricity infrastructure is something close to my heart. Indeed, I spent 3 years working in the energy sector, ensuring customers remained on supply throughout COVID, and then supporting the most vulnerable in our society through the energy shock of 2021, when bills skyrocketed to unprecedented levels. So I know the importance of building a strong electricity network that works for the people of Britain. But I also know the importance of protecting natural habitats and defending natural beauty for those people of Langdon to continue to enjoy. Throughout the local elections, I spoke to many Langdon residents day in, day out, asking what their priorities were, and alongside getting on with Langdon Place, which this administration will, and fixing the awful bin system, which is the ultimate reason this the former Conservative administration is now in opposition, their third priority was protecting natural habitats and green spaces. And this motion ensures that. Delivering on these three priorities is the reason the good people of Langdon put their faith in Labour, not once, not twice, but 3 times earlier this month. And over the next 6 weeks, I'll be working flat out to ensure that when it comes to their national priorities of a strong NHS, stable economy and secure borders, Labour will deliver for them too. Mr. Mayor, you'll be pleased to know that that's the extent of my party political broadcast today. I'll save the rest for when the Tories have gotten around to selecting a candidate. But returning to the motion, we must find alternative ways of getting these cables from point A to point B that don't impact on our natural beauty. All these things must be considered in the local plan being drafted with local consent by the Cabinet Member for Strategic Planning. This council has been at risk without a local plan for far too long, and this administration will ensure that one is delivered so that the borough's infrastructure priorities are secure. This motion already delegates the actions to be taken forward to the Cabinet Member, so I propose the motion is referred to the Cabinet Member to handle with care and with the priorities of the people of Langdon at the forefront of her mind. And so I therefore propose point of order 15.4, Mr. Mayor, to refer this motion to the Cabinet Member of Strategic Planning.
Thank you, Councillor. That being a point of order that provides a vote with no further debate, I will now the motion will be presented to. The motion will be presented to the Cabinet Member responsible. All those in favour? All those against? Any abstentions? That motion is passed. That being the motion has been moved to the Cabinet Member, there is no means of winding up, Councillor Smith. So that being the final item of the agenda, I now call this meeting to a close and we'll wish you a good journey home.